Hit it! Whoa!
Boy, that thing jumped.
Hi, this is Jeff of Tau Flittermouse. If I have learned one thing from shooting these exotic shotgun slugs is that A, France actually makes shotgun slugs, and B, they make some of the most exotic and beautiful and complex and downright weird slugs that we've ever seen. Now without David from France, who generously sent us a big variety of French shotgun slugs, we would never have been able to do this because these are just not available in the United States. So today we're featuring the Solengo Special Gros Gabriel. Okay, I can't speak French, but Solengo is actually Italian for wild boar, and the other words that I gibbered off is special large game. Now I'm not sure, but I believe Decathlon is like a sporting goods store in France. Now the box really doesn't have a lot of information other than it's 12 gauge, and there's no velocity or anything listed. Now since David couldn't send live shells through the mail, he had to take perfectly good shells and cut them apart and send me just these slugs. Now this features a ribbed plastic wadding with no cushion or anything at all, and that stays attached to the lead slug. But what's really unusual is that these have a brass piece of metal stuck in the nose, and hopefully we can figure out what the purpose of that is. Now I did notice there are these weaker sections of the slug, and I'm thinking maybe the brass piece is there to kind of act like a wedge to drive it into 4 pieces. Now these weigh in at 478 grains, if you believe my little scale there, or 31 grams, including the weight of that plastic wadding. Since I didn't know what the original velocity was, I had to do a little guesstimation and use low data based on other slugs of the same weight. At least we know to dispose of spent smells appropriately.
Bonjour, David. We're shooting his Solengo. What is that? A fluted slug with a brass tip. So we're going to give these a try, see how they do.
Engage. First shot, the lead plate made with 100% unobtainium. Hit it! Whoa!
Boy, that thing jumped.
Whoa!
Bored into the unobtainium there and peeled the stuff back. Look at that.
What the heck?
Now that YouTube might make a decent home defense round.
What's the backside look like? Did it crater out the back?
Barely pushed.
Oh, look at the brick did to that. It broke our brick.
Carved that into the brick. Broke that thing in
That's
half.
a bulge and a half there.
Now this is a 20-pound disc of lead measuring about 7 inches in diameter and weighing about 20 pounds. And this thing just flipped it around like it was a coin. Again, this is 23 grains of E3 powder, driving this thing over 1,500 feet per second, by my estimation.
What do you got there?
That's a roll of wet denim.
You sound like you swallowed a bee or something.
Man, I've had too much of that Israeli candy. That should...
That's the new ballistic medium,
yeah,
FBI standard.
Yeah, that's Kentucky ballistic gel.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works against a French slug.
Yep. Okay, I'm ready. Wow. I think it went through.
That made it through the denim.
Yeah. So you can see all the multiple holes, double layer.
Straight through. You pay $50 for these jeans down on Hot Topic.
We're gonna sign them.
These are, yeah.
First person to call. $40, $49.95, sold.
Okay, this is something new we're trying, this rolled up pair of jeans. As you can see, the slug wasn't dead center, it was off a little bit. It still managed to go through those jeans and slammed into that Kevlar vest behind there.
Hey, ballistic gel. Hit it. Whoa.
Look at that pan underneath.
Oh my God. Whoa.
So we hit a little low, hit the bear right there in his little bear pee-pee, and you can see the wad dug through there, buried itself in there. Clink. And then the round tore through these pylons here, pulverized the brick, but check out what it did to that pan on its way through. It didn't strike the pan, that's just the pressure from those gummies shoved it downward onto that thing. Man, look at that.
And then the slug eventually hit the brick back there, and that's what's left of that.
I'm not going to be making Officer Greg no brownies in this pan.
Again, not the most accurate shot. Could be my powder formula. Who knows? Ow. But still, 1 ounce of lead traveling at that kind of velocity is going to wreck whatever you're shooting at. That did a pretty good number on all that gel and brick.
Okay, 35 yards. Nice.
Let's say that hit him.
Yeah.
Aiming for center of flag. Dropped it over here, low left, in his appendix. And it popped his vest in here. And you can see the round buried into the Kevlar right there. Boop.
Oh wow.
And there's your brass tip. Now that one went
still hot.
That one went brass forward
Yep.
instead of brass backwards.
I don't know. Not the most accurate we've shot, but
Hey,
yeah.
Doug disagrees.
this, yeah, accurate enough.
Doug's like, screw you guys.
Now this shot and the next shot, I used 40 grains of Hodgkin's long shot, and we had a catastrophic failure. The slug actually came apart. So that is probably the biggest reason why the accuracy was so off on this shot.
All right, what do you got there?
This is the world's largest purple drink. So believe it or not, Matt V 2009, that's full of purple drink floating around in there.
We're still totally stealing your idea. No shame.
We're gonna center punch that thing if we can.
Yeah. Okay, 25 yards. Something like that. Purple drink.
Right on the blue laser.
Okay, hit it. Wow.
Good grief. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Impressive.
That was a splash.
Quad damage.
Right on the blue laser.
Okay, hit it. Wow.
Good grief.
Again, using 40 grains of long shot, we had a separation of the wadding and the slug. However, the slug managed to still hit the target and did a lot of damage. That's a lot of energy there. And we just kind of had to guesstimate what kind of powder load to use with these slugs, because the manufacturer probably experimented with dozens and dozens of different types of powders and quantities before they got their formula just right. So that's always the challenge I have when I have to load these.
Well, it not only busted it open, it blew it into little pieces.
It shattered that thing.
That thing's polycarbonate, so it's, I mean, it's made to be dropped downstairs and stuff.
Exploding jug of goo.
Now look, he's got a trash bag. We're gonna pick it up because people think we don't clean up after ourselves.
By the way, YouTube, watch for my new unauthorized autobiography, Exploding Jug of Goo. The Officer Greg story.
I want to take this time to thank all my Patreons for their generous support. Times are really rough for YouTube creators right now because recently a whole bunch of advertisers started boycotting putting advertisements on Google platforms like YouTube. Now, this all started because of that terror attack in England, and some goofy reporter noticed that some YouTube videos featuring, quote, extremist content like how to run people over or whatever were monetized, and they were saying, oh, Google is making money off these terrorist extremist videos. And because of that boycott, every YouTube channel is now being punished for that. Instead of taking care of the problem, they just punished everyone. Again, thank you, Patreons, for your help.